Hello everyone, welcome to today's program. My name is Tunde Disu and this is Become a Better Man platform. You are welcome. I hope your day has been great and you are looking forward to a wonderful weekend. I am definitely looking forward to the weekend. It's a special one for me. And I want to start by expressing my apologies for not being able to be with you yesterday, yesterday being our usual time and meeting point. There were some family matters that needed our attention, so unfortunately the time was short. I couldn't post a notice that I won't be coming on, so I'm sorry about that. But we're here today and it's great to have Mr. Kehinde Disu with us. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for being part of today's program. Over the past few weeks, well, 4 or 5 weeks really. Wow, it's a family affair today, my brothers and sisters. Yemi, Ade, Yemo, Lekon, Disu. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, sir. Ma'am. Over the past few weeks, we have been looking at this specific topic about how, with all good intentions, with proper planning and everything that we set ourselves to do, to achieve, to become, somehow, knowingly and in most cases unknowingly, we are actually handicapping ourselves. We become an obstacle to our own journey. We sabotage our own effort. We create more trouble for ourselves along the way. And sometimes these are the little things that really trip us up, stop us from fulfilling and achieving everything that we set our hearts to. And even though we're putting a lot of efforts into it, we're pushing all the buttons and putting a lot of effort, resources, time, energy, money, and everything into it, and yet it seems it's not producing as much result as we expect, or the quality of the results that we're getting, they are below our expectations. And at that point, it's easy for us to look outward to see who is not helping, who is not pulling their weight, who is not doing this, why is this not happening? While those are good attempts at resolving or at least identifying where the problem is, sometimes we need to look inward. In fact, the best thing is to start by looking inward. Look on the inside and try and identify what role you yourself are playing in stopping yourself becoming or achieving your goal or reaching your destination. So for the past, I think this is the 5th week number 5, that we've been looking at these behavioral patterns that are sabotaging our efforts, our own behavioral patterns that are sabotaging our efforts and stopping us from becoming all that we could be. And if you remember, in week 1, we looked at the issue, the tendency for us to compare ourselves with other people, the tendency for us to compare ourselves with other people. My brother, Gbenro Awolano, it's an honor to have you, sir. Thank you. So the first week we look at comparing ourselves with other people. While there's nothing wrong in using other people as a mirror to see where you are, the challenge comes when you start to run their race and try to live their lives and try to work on their own agenda rather than on your own. That is, it becomes a problem. The second week, we looked at the failure to take positive risks, the failure to challenge ourselves, to push ourselves, to go beyond the norm or the average, to really push the boat, as it were, and see how far we can go. And sometimes this could be as a result of past failures and past mistakes and bad experiences, and therefore you think, well, it's better for me to just stay in my comfort zone, and I'm not pushing anything, I'm not expecting anything, so I won't be disappointed. But the reality is, the moment you adopt that mentality or that mindset, you've already lost the battle. On the third week of looking at what are some of the behavioral patterns by which we handicap and sabotage ourselves, we looked at the tendency again for us to succumb to distractions, the tendency for us to be easily distracted, to lose focus, to lose enthusiasm, to let other things occupy our minds, our time, and our space. We tend to pursue the urgent things instead of the important things. And so these are some of the ways by which we succumb to distraction. Then the fourth week, which was last week, we looked at inaction. Inaction, the idea of not doing what you know to do, what you know is the right thing to do. Now, inaction doesn't mean sitting down idle and not lifting a finger or not. No, inaction could be as easy or as simple as knowing that this is what you should be doing, but instead of doing it, you camouflage your activity or your engagement of your time and yourself with other things that will not produce maximally or not give you the level of result that will move you towards your goal. So we looked at those four patterns or behavioral patterns, as it were, of how we are handicapping and shortchanging ourselves. This is week 5. On today's program, we are going to be looking at unwillingness to relinquish past mistakes. The tendency that we all have to live constantly, almost permanently, in the bubble of our past mistakes. See, the reality is this. We all make mistakes. Sister Kate, thank you, sir, for joining us. Prince Kayode Talabi, I appreciate you, sir. We all make mistakes. In fact, life has two sides. There are two sides to life. Just like there are two sides to a coin. Everything in life, everything existing, everything that we can think of, there are always two alternatives. In life, you are either progressing or succeeding, or you are not because of your mistakes. You are either doing it the right way or you're doing it the wrong way. You are either going forward or you're coming back. You are either expanding or you are shrinking. You are either growing or you are diminishing. That is life. And so when it comes to how we put ourselves to life, how we interact with life, there is no two ways about it. It's either you are on point, on cue, or you are not, by virtue of the mistakes you make in life. Mistakes of life are inevitable. They are inevitable. One of the reasons why mistakes are inevitable is because you can only see so far. You can only know so much. You can only have enough, you can only have a certain level or amount or degree of experience depending on what you are dealing with. There is always something in somewhere, in somehow that you don't know, that you have no control over, that you cannot predict. You can't predict what will happen in the next 5 minutes. Yes, you could have your plans. Yes, you could have your program. You could set up your goal for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Wonderful. Those are great ideas. But the reality is, you cannot 100% predict what will happen tomorrow about this time. There are elements and factors, there are circumstances and situations that are completely outside of your control. And yet, these elements and circumstances, they have effect on your goals and your plans. So there will be times when, with all good intentions, you're just not measuring up. With all good ideas and plans, they're not just working out. Now, does that mean you're a bad person? No. Does that mean you are lazy? Probably not. Does that mean you are not planning? Maybe not. It just means you are dealing with life. And that is what life is about. See, the only people that don't make mistakes in life, the only people that are mistake-free in life, they are not living. They are 6 feet below the ground. It is only those who are dead or those who are not doing nothing. Those are the people that cannot make mistakes. But for as long as you are putting yourself out to do something, to better yourself, to improve yourself, to grow yourself, to just live life, you will make mistakes. Every time you step out on a journey, every time you set a goal for yourself, every time you start chasing a dream or pursuing a passion, life is there with you. Life is present there with you. There's always two opposing witnesses that will be there with you. There will be progress on one hand, and there will be errors on another hand. The important thing is to minimize the errors and mistakes and maximize the progress and success. And that is what will make the difference. So let us, all I'm trying to say is, calm down. Mistakes are part of life. All you have to do is to minimize them, do your homework, do your due diligence, and put your plans in place, and then work the plans that you have put in place. But the reality is this: if you've lived long enough, you will probably agree with me, if you are sincere with yourself, that you learn more sometimes from your mistakes than from your success. The lessons that the mistakes of life will teach you, they are valuable, they are long-lasting, they are more cogent than what you will learn from success stories. The only problem is as human beings, we loathe mistakes. We see them as our shortfallings or shortcomings or our inadequacies and inabilities. Therefore, we tend to just push them aside and don't want to look at them again. But the truth is, inside the ashes of your mistakes can rise the giant of your success. If only we can just stop and pay attention to what we're doing. Mr. Olabode, thank you, sir. Mr. Fumi Adewuse, I appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am. So if mistakes and errors are part of life, if we have this understanding that life happens, and part of life happening is the mistakes that we make in life, if we can grasp and hold that understanding, if you can appreciate and tuck that understanding under our belt, then the question is, why is it that when people make mistakes, it weighs them down? They beat themselves up. They stay in that position of failure, of not enough, of not inadequate. Why is it that people allow mistakes to weigh them down? See, there are many reasons why that could happen. There are many, many reasons. If you look at your life, when I was preparing for this program, as I was reading and studying and doing my research, there are instances where I had to stop and re-examine certain aspects of my life, certain aspects of my actions, my decisions, my movement, the things I have thought, I have said, I have done. I had to then hold back and re-examine them and try to go back to that point, to that scene, to that situation, and open it up again to see what are the mistakes here what are the lessons inherent in these mistakes that I've made, so that I can grow and become a better person. And I'm sure if you would take time to do that, some of the things that happened in the past, when you look at them now, you are older, you are wiser, you are more experienced, you are more exposed, you start to realize, my goodness, all that I was beating myself up, there was no need for it, because now I can see what the lessons are. But the question I asked was, why is it that people allow mistakes to weigh them down? Or why do people get bogged down because of mistakes. Sister Rita, thank you, ma'am, for joining us. One of the major reasons why people can't easily get over their past mistakes. Remember, on this program today, we're looking at how the tendency to not relinquish, to not let go past mistakes, how it can become a yoke or a burden or a weight that weighs us down, hold us back, and sabotage our efforts at achieving our purpose. So one of the main reasons why people allow mistakes to weigh them down is because in most cases, when you look back at some of the mistakes in your life, you will agree, if you are sincere, that maybe I didn't prepare enough. Maybe I just was not as ready as I thought I was. Maybe there are things I should have done, I could have done, I may have done, and probably didn't do that has brought this. Now, is that the only reason? No. But you see, the reason in some cases where we don't prepare enough is because sometimes we overemphasize the chances of our success and underestimate the possibilities of failure. One of the reasons why we get weighed down by mistakes is because from the onset we have overemphasized the chances, the probabilities of our success. Looking at the plans and the programs in place, we are convinced that this is a banker, this is bullseye, this is the jackpot. There's nothing stopping this. And so we tend to minimize the possibility of failure. And so when mistakes come, when we then hit that mistake button, suddenly all that hope and aspiration and expectations for the success, it's completely drained out of us, and we are left with little or no energy to pick ourselves up and move on in life. So that's the first thing. The second reason why we get bogged down is because we have also sometimes over-exaggerated the perfection of our plans. We've crossed all the T's, we've dotted all the I's. We've done our cash flow and cash not flowing. We've done our bank balances and our profit and loss and our liables and not. We've done everything. And that can, when you look at it on paper, it is a perfect plan. But the truth is, there is no plan that is perfect. There is no plan that is foolproof. Somewhere along the line, there's always that one thing, that one instance, that one comment, that one exclamation mark. Something somewhere is there that will trip up and virtually blow out the whole plans that you have. So if you have a plan that is, we have exaggerated its perfection, we are setting ourselves up for mistakes. Another reason why we get bogged down with mistakes is that we tend to forget that even though we've done all our plannings and done all our calculations, there are factors that are completely outside of our control. There are instances, there are circumstances that we have no control over. And the effects of these factors that we can't control, they have a big effect, they have a strong effect on the outcome of our plans. Take, for instance, you want to get married and you say, I think the best time to get married is in summer. The sun is shining, everywhere is nice, it's dry, and this and that and this and that. And so you pick a date for your wedding. Every plan is going, you check the weather forecast, everything is perfect. And then you are in the church. Halfway through the church ceremony, the heaven opens and it starts to tip down. Like there's a pipe burst in heaven, and it rained like it had never rained in years. Now, you had planned to have your wedding in summer because you're sure, you believe the weather will be good. Up until the day of your wedding, weather fine, excellent. Even on the day of the wedding, you still check the weather forecast, and he said 35 degrees centigrade, put on the sun cream. And then you go into the church and it starts to rain. Now, what can you do about that? Absolutely nothing. You can't stop the rain. You can't hold the rain. You can't put the sun back in the sky. Those are elements that are completely outside of your control. There's nothing you can do with it, about them. Mr. Josin, thank you, man, for being with us. And sometimes we just fail to prepare. We fail to prepare, and like I was taught when I was in teacher's college, when a teacher fails to prepare his lesson note, he's already planning to fail in the classroom. So when you fail to prepare, you are setting yourself up for failure. If you are a person that is prone to rehearsing and overthinking and fixation, and you're obsessing over this and go, let's cross that one, let's check that one, and you keep dwelling, you probably have many incidents of mistakes that are completely etched and carved into your memory, into your subconscious person. Do you know why? Because over the years, you've had issues with this mistake and that mistake, and every one of them you've taken them as a backpack, and you keep carrying them about. Before you know it, it becomes your way of thinking, and sometimes it can even stop you from wanting to do anything. Say, for instance, you're in the staff meeting, and everybody were talking, everybody was laughing, and you just passed a joke or a comment, and the whole room just went silent. You know immediately that was a bad joke or a bad timing for your joke, or you miss a deadline, or you prepare for a presentation and it didn't go well as you thought it would go, or you post something on your Facebook or on your Twitter or on any of your social media, and then the feedback you're getting is people think, oh, you are racist, oh, you are sexist, oh, you are snobbish, oh, you are unkind. Oh. But that was not your intention. Somehow, if you carry those things as backpack, they tend to dwell on you and keep you down. And instead for you to start looking forward to what life has for you, you live perpetually in that past mistakes, in the experiences of the past mistakes, and it becomes a yoke that chokes your neck and bends your back, that you can't move forward. One of the greatest things in life that people can't get over is when you look back at the opportunities that you could have taken, you should have taken, opportunities that are in your hands, and you allow them to just slip through your fingers. When you look back at that, you want to punch yourself in the face and kick yourself. Those are mistakes in life. But the question is, would you allow that mistake to now weigh you down, stop you from going forward? Or will you peel it open, spread it apart, dissect it, and pick the lessons from it? As they say, chew the meat, spill the bones. Is that what you would do, or you're going to let it weigh you down? Ladies and gentlemen, whatever is the issue, whatever is the matter, whatever is the concern that keeps you from sleeping at night, or keeps you awake in the middle of the night, or makes you cry yourself to sleep, be careful with those things. Be very careful, because they have a tendency of eating away your self-confidence or your self-belief in yourself, and all you can think of. And that is why you hear people say things like, oh, I'm so stupid. Come on. How could I have said such a thing? What was I thinking about? How could I be so, and you verbally abuse yourself? Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong in you doing self-examination and looking at your life and trying to correct your errors. But when it graduates to a point where you now self-beating, where you are now beating yourself up, you are on the periphery of danger. Thoughts like, I'm so stupid. What was I thinking? How could I have said that? Why would I have done that? What they do is they become a glue. And gradually, you remember what's this story? This giant that little tiny people pinned to the ground. What's it called now? I can't. Maybe somebody will know what I'm trying to. There's a story of this big giant and little people just pin him to the ground and peg him down and all of that. Thoughts like this, that's what they do. They glue you little by little, little by little, little by little to your past experiences. And it comes to a point where you are completely handicapped and you can't move an inch. You can't do anything. Now you are lock, stock, and barrel in the past. Kola Ole Aziz Jimo, thank you, sir, for being part of today's program. Have you ever heard the word, nobody is perfect? Have you ever said it? Maybe you have said it, because I know I've said it, that nobody is perfect. Do you know that's a very true statement? Regardless of your age, your gender, your education, your qualification, your status, nobody is perfect. We are all work in progress. As human beings, we are flawed in so many ways. If only we will accept it. If only we will be brave enough to face it. And so we spend much of our everyday. I heard this statement from John Maxwell years ago. He said, every day you are either trying to do something right or you are fixing something that you have done wrong. You are either making progress or you are spending your day correcting your past mistakes. That is life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is life. The challenge is that we need to make sure that the time we're spending in breaking new grounds and taking new territories and expanding and growing and pushing forward, they are more than the time we're spending fixing leaking pipes from the past and mending potholes that we've left from the past. But life is all about, it's either you are making progress or you are fixing the errors of your past. But our quest for success and perfection, in our quest rather for success and perfection, sometimes we let these past mistakes to occupy our time, to occupy our minds, to take territory in our psyche and become the dominant thoughts in our lives and in everything that we do. All we need to do is to learn from our mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. We need to just try and learn how to learn from our past mistakes and challenge ourselves to be better in the future. That's all we can do. All you can do is to learn to go back to the school of your mistakes, learn the lessons from there, and then apply that lessons as you challenge yourself to become better in the future. Anything outside of that is a waste of effort. It's a waste of your life and time. You and I are not gaining anything by beating ourselves up over the past. There's nothing we can do about it. It's already behind us. There is nothing you can do about the error and the mistakes you made last week, yesterday, last night, 2 hours ago. All you can do is to learn from it and move forward. You can't say to God, like, God, I made a mistake yesterday. And because yesterday was 26th of April, can you put a stop on the calendar for now? Let me go back to yesterday and fix that, and then we can move on with the rest of the year. It doesn't work that way. So because you have no control primarily on effecting any change on what has happened behind you, all you can do is to learn the lessons from it and move forward and challenge yourself and push yourself and go with a strong determination to become a better person. If you do that, you will realize that you are making less mistakes. You are more cultured and more focused in your planning, in the execution of your planning, and you'll be achieving maximal. Your result will show for it. But if you live in your mistakes, nobody drives a car looking in the rearview mirror. You're going to have an accident. Unfortunately, that's how most people live their life. You and I will not stand. You can't stand somebody that is constantly, all the time, permanently, almost permanently, verbally abusing you, berating you, putting you down, talking you down, wearing you out because of your past mistakes. You won't stand for that. Would you? Would you allow your husband, your wife, brother, sister, your boss, your neighbor, your colleague, would you allow anybody to constantly beat you up, slap you down with their words, just because of your past mistake? You won't do that. You won't allow it. You will fight tooth and nail to stop the person. Then why do you do that to yourself? Why do you do that to yourself? Because most of us, that is what we do. Oh, I always know there's nothing good that can come out of this of me. I mean, even the Bible says, can anything good come out of Nazareth? And you justify beating yourself up, and then you go in the vicious circle. Now you're beating yourself up. Therefore, you are unable to take any action. And because you're not taking any action, you are not making any progress. Then you complain that you are not making progress, and then you beat yourself up for not making progress, and you are continuously going round and round in circle. Ade Nelson, thank you, sir, for being part of today's program. Remember, to err is human. To forgive is divine. To make mistakes is part of life. To learn from those mistakes are the keys to progress. I hope somebody's getting something from this program tonight. Please, if you have not shared this program, just do me a favor, click your share button now, and so that somebody else can benefit from it. Why do we dwell in the past? Why do we constantly dwell in our past mistakes? Quickly, let's look at why we tend to live in the past. Number one reason why people live permanently in the past is personality. It's a personality issue. Either because of their upbringing, because of their temperament, whatever it is you want to factor into the equation, there is a personality issue why some people live in the past. Some people are more prone to over analyzing their mistakes and over exaggerating the effect of their mistakes. Rather than learning the lessons from those mistakes, they analyze it to the point where it becomes a paralysis. People are so prone to do that. You see, nearly everyone dwells in the past at some point or the other. Like I said, you need to revisit it and learn from it. But some people, they are like Peter, Jesus. Let's build 3 camps. and just live here permanently. One for you, one for Elijah, one for Moses. Some people are like that with their mistakes. They build a tent, a tabernacle there, and they reside there. Especially when the event or the experience is a stressful experience. You see, our body is not put together by God to harbor and accommodate stress. But we put that on ourselves. We put that on ourselves. And the moment you allow stress to dwell richly in you, to become a dominant voice in your heart, in your mind, in your head, you've already lost the battle of life. So the point I'm trying to make here is, what is your personality? How do you see yourself? Are you the type that will beat yourself up and kick yourself and physically slap yourself and harm yourself and complain and talk yourself down because of a mistake? Or are you the type that will think it over, recognize the errors, learn from them, and move on? Another reason why people live in the past is shame. Shame. You see, shame occurs when we fail to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves, when we are unable to deliver on the promises that we've made, especially to ourselves, when we fall short of our own the standard that you set for yourself, the level that you expect yourself to be, the command that you believe you should have. When you are below that, when you are not delivering maximally to the fullness of your ability and your knowledge and experience, shame sets in. And the reality is, before people from outside shame you, you shame yourself. You put the shame on yourself. You see, unmet goals that are set, but you can't meet, they leave us to focus not on the goals, but on the inability to meet them. The feeling of shame, like I said, which is the failure to achieve your success, it starts with you. And eventually what is in you is projected to others, to the point that you start to think that others are thinking like that about you. Others are seeing you like that. They are talking behind you about you in that sense, but they are not. Everybody's got their own issues under their shirt. But shame will bring you to the point where you start to project that mindset. And the reality is, people will take you the way you project yourself, and they will use it to relate back to you. So please stop beating yourself up. Life is too short for anxiety, for regret, for condemnation, for self-harm. I think about 2 or 3 programs, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was saying, I don't live a life of regret. I don't. Does that mean I'm perfect? Far from it. Does that mean I don't make mistakes? A lot of it. Does that mean I am thick-skinned, can't feel it? Oh no, every one of them the list is like that. But in the face of that, I have decided not to live a life of regret. Regret won't give you any joy. Another reason why people live permanently in the past is fear. Fear of past failure causes people not to even attempt to open their front door in the morning. They are stuck in that place where they made mistake. They are permanently bolted and locked down into that singular experience, rather than break the chain and move on from this. And sometimes this fear of past failures could be in your relationships. It could be with regards to financial investment. the trust that you have in friends. It could be because you've experienced a kind of sickness, or you've been through divorce, or whatever it is. But whatever whatever experience you've had in the past, don't let it metamorphosize into fear. You know, Joyce Meyer said, fear is false evidence appearing real. That is what it is. It's not real. It's just giving you the impression that it's real. Fear makes people live in the land of what if. Fear makes people live in the land of what if. They say things like, what if I make the same mistake again? What if I mess up? What if my mistake or my messing up, what if it affects other people? How can I live with myself? What if I get branded and people see me as a no good, as a screwed up, and gradually the fear will kill your chances of doing anything great, because you constantly worry about what was done in the past or what was not done in the past, and fear eventually tie you down. Another reason why people live in past mistake is because when you make a mistake, either personal or corporate, somehow, somewhere, it affects other people. That's life. But a lot of people, the thought of my mistake has affected this person, or has the repercussion on this other person. That other people effect mentality becomes a burden that people carry about. There's a component of empathy that causes people to feel sorry for others that are affected by your mistake, which is great. I made a mistake, the effect of it, other people are bearing the grunt of it, and I'm sorry about that. I completely and totally, honestly, sincerely, I am sorry about that. But you can't then live the rest of your life in that position of sorry about that. Because in most cases, the people that are affected by your mistakes, they've moved on from it. Some of them don't even realize that it was your mistake that's affecting them. But here you are, locked down in a prison of my mistake affected other people. The sense of guilt sometimes causes people to, how can I say this? The sense of guilt of the effect of our mistakes on other people, it brings people to a point where they feel the only way to get out of this, the only way for me to feel better, is for me to punish myself. I will punish myself on behalf of all the other people that are affected by my mistake. And people usually think the best way to punish themselves is not to rise up from the ashes of that mistake. Even just going through this program, I'm learning new things. I'm seeing new things. My one part of my head is doing this program. The other part is already churning through different things as I'm learning, and I am trying to apply them to different things, even in my own life. I hope it's helping you in that way too. Quickly, let's look at how to break the pattern of dwelling on past mistakes so that we can maximize our potentials, we can reach our goals and become all that we're destined to be. Life is unpredictable, like we said at the beginning. And we are all faced with the challenges and the problems of life. Life is unpredictable. But in the midst of that, because we are living in it, we are faced with these challenges and these problems, especially of the unpredictability of life. So sometimes we question our past. We wonder what could have happened, what should have happened, what may have happened, what would have happened if we're taking a different decision, or taking the different route, or applied ourselves in a different way. And there's nothing wrong in that. The challenge is, don't dwell on it too much, that it becomes your master. Don't dwell on it too much. So how do you break from your past, from dwelling on past mistakes, so that it doesn't hold you back and slap you against the wall? The first way to do it is to work through your feelings. You need to work through your feelings. What do I mean by that? The first thing you should do is to express your hurt. The fact that you've made a mistake, the truth is, it hurts you. Whether you agree to it or not, whether you are bold enough to look yourself in the mirror and admit, mistakes hurt. There's no two ways about that. But one of the ways to break its yoke is for you to express that hurt. And that is why sometimes you see people, they will, if I've seen people, they made a mistake, and what they do is they go to the front of the mirror and scream at themselves. They get it out of their system as quickly as possible. Because the moment you allow it to rent a room in there, before you know it, it will take a flat in a duplex. And before you know it, it will take over the whole of you. Express your hurt. Express the fact that you are hurting. You may have made a mistake, regret a decision, failed to take an opportunity, hurt somebody, let somebody down. Whatever it is, express it. Express your hurt. There are different ways you can express your hurt. One, you can write it down in a journal. By writing it, you are creating an avenue for that steam of pain to come out of your system. Pour your pain on pages of paper. Just sit down there and write it out. One of the writers will tell you, people who are professional writers, they will tell you, one of the most difficult things to write and pour down on paper accurately is emotion. How you're feeling. The emotion that you are going through. It is one of the most difficult things to put down accurately. But when you sit down and you pour that pain, that regret, that hurt, pour it on pages of paper. It's your journal. It's your paper. You don't have any restriction to what you can write, how you can write, spelling or no spelling. Just pour it out. Write it down. And some people, they can't write it down. Find somebody you can talk to. Find somebody you can talk to. Maybe a friend, a family member, a religious person, or go to a professional counselor. But get it out of your system as quickly as possible. If your mistake, for instance, has resulted in other people being hurt or being affected, you can talk to the person. Just go to them and say, look, I don't know if you know this, maybe not, but I'm going to tell you now. I made a mistake and it's affecting you. It has affected you. It has handicapped you. And all I can say is, hand on heart, with all sincerity that can muster in my body, I am sorry. It wasn't intentional. It was a lapse of judgment. It was a mistake of decision. Whatever it is, be sincere, be open, but talk to the person. 9 times out of 10, the person will tell you, I really appreciate that, but it's in the past now. Let's move on and do better things together. If the person is not somebody you can talk to, or that is within your immediate reach for you to talk to, another thing you can do is write the person a letter of what you are feeling and how you are feeling, but don't post the letter. Write it, envelope it, address it, but keep that letter. You see, If you write that letter and send it to the person, you don't know in what state that person will be when they receive that letter. You could be causing the person more harm than the good you intended to do. But write it down, put the person's name, address, and everything as if you are talking to the person face to face. Seal the envelope, put it in your drawer. So remember, we're talking of how to overcome, how to break the pattern of dwelling on past mistakes. And we said the first way is for you to walk through your feelings. And number one way of working through your feelings is to express the hurt. Number two way of working through your feelings is to accept your decisions. Accept your decisions. One of the challenges of mistakes is people are easy and very quick at pointing to the other person. It's that person's fault. It's that person, if that person didn't do, if that person has done, rather than looking first at yourself. So, accept your decisions. Every time you make a decision, if you were, for those who did economics in secondary school, there's something the law of opportunity cost. Every time you make a decision, you are saying yes to something and saying no to another. You are saying yes to a possibility and you are saying no to another possibility. Because what faces you has automatically, by default, turned its back on somebody else. So when you make a decision, you are already turning your face to something, therefore your back will be to something else. You are saying yes to a possibility, to a probability, to an action, an option, and you're immediately saying no to another option. Sometimes we spend our time wondering what if, maybe, how, those that, I don't care how long you dwell on that. Those in itself, they are decisions. Running scenarios in your mind will not change what has already happened. Oh, if only I did that. I wish I just made that call. What if I just, not just put my foot down on that pedal? And you can go through all of that in your head till you are gray. It's not going to change what has happened. All you can do is to accept that decision that you've made that has led or now resulted in a mistake. Accept it. Accept it. Accept that your past has happened and you may or may not be proud of what has happened. You may not even want to be associated with it, but it has happened. Accept it. It is now story. It is not in the past. Accept it. Tell yourself, I made a blunder. I made a decision in the past and it hasn't turned out right. But that is life. It made sense to me at the point of making that decision. It was the best option considering all alternatives at the point of making that decision. But hey, look further down the line. Hindsight is 2020 vision. If we all have it, nobody will need a foresight. However, there's nothing you can do about what's already behind you. All you can do is deal with the outcome and move on in life. So another way by which you walk through your emotions or your feelings is for you to accept your decisions. Another way you can do that is to decide to let go of the past. Let go of the past. Let it go. There's a reason it's called past. Behind. It's behind you. Let it go. Let it go. I heard a story once. Apparently, in many centuries ago, when somebody kills another person, when somebody murders another person, you know how they punish them? They don't put them in prison. They don't put them against the wall and shoot them or no. They tie the dead person to the person that killed them. And everywhere you go, you're dragging that dead body with you. You're in the house, it's with you. You're on the street, it's with you. You are, whether it's decaying, it's smelling, that person, that dead corpse is with you. That is what a lot of people do with their mistakes. Instead of letting it go, they tie a rope around it, tie the rope around their waist, and they drag it everywhere they go. It becomes an emblem. It becomes a point of reference. It becomes an identification mark. It becomes your identity almost, as it were. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. No, no, no. Let it go. Once you've expressed your hurt, once you've learned the lessons from it, once you've taken a conscious decision to learn the lesson, then make the same conscious decision to let it go. Let it go. When you choose to let it go, you are being proactive. You are making effort. You are taking the next step to move on with life and become a better person. But when you tie that mistake around your neck, around your waist, and after a while, it gathers others around itself, and it becomes too heavy for you to even drag about, and eventually, it ties you down. Tell yourself, I accept myself and my past. I can't change myself. I have little or no control over what is behind me. So I accept that. But what I am doing is that I am choosing to move on from this past mistake. I am choosing to let it go. I'm choosing to bury it behind me. I'm choosing to make a new decision that will take me towards my goal rather than sitting in my past mistakes. And the thing about decision of letting go of your past, the power in it, or rather, the important thing about letting go of your past is the fact that it's a daily decision. Sometimes it's an every hour decision. Do you know why? Because past mistakes have the tendency of reminding you, you remember, here we go again, you're going to make the mistake, you remember the last time. And it whispers that in your ears all the time. Your mind is thinking about it, but you have control over all of those. You say to your mind, say, shut up. I'm about to make the best decision of my life. You're not going to talk me out of this because of what I did in the past. That was in the past. It was buried way, way behind me. But this is a new day. This is a new opportunity. This is the new platform. This is a great chance for me to not just make a better decision, but to even recover what I lost in the past mistakes that I made. It's a daily, hourly decision that you have to make to choose to let go of your past. And sometimes you have to talk openly and verbally to yourself. You can't wrestle the thought in your mind. You can't wrestle and conquer it with another thought. It won't happen. You have to open your mouth and verbally say it. You have to say it. It's in the saying that silent voice, that whispering voice will shut up. Another way to break the hold of past mistakes over your life is think about what you have learned from it. Think about what you have learned from it. You see, your past, my past, our history, they are learning opportunities if only we will see it that way. One of the things your past experience or your past mistakes should have taught you or would have taught you is about yourself. What makes you make a decision this way? I sat down with two gentlemen once, and we're just talking. And one of them said to the other person, he said, let me ask you a question. Why do you think the way you think? And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? He said, no, why do you think the way you think? What was he saying? He's saying, how much of yourself do you know? Because to the degree to which you know yourself, to the degree to which you understand your person, is to the degree to which you can either learn from your past mistakes or make new great decisions. So part of what your past mistakes and past experiences will teach you is about yourself. And so when it comes to you now doing this same thing over again, another opportunity has now presented itself. You are not diving into it head first. You immediately remember, okay, when it comes to a financial decision, I am usually emotional. I am not logical. I'm not reasonable. So now that I'm about to make a big financial decision, based on the past experiences of my errors and mistakes, I need to take my emotion out of the equation and be logical and be methodical and be sincere with myself. Don't fall in love. They say when you're in property business, don't fall in love with the house. Fall in love with the deal, because it's the deal that will determine whether the house is there tomorrow or not. So when you learn from your past mistakes about who you are, about yourself, it will help you to break the hold of constantly or permanently making the same mistakes over and over again. Think about what are the pros and the cons of this decision. Weigh them. Don't just. Warren Buffett said, if you cannot investigate, don't invest. Don't invest in something that you can't investigate, that you don't understand. Thinking positively, thinking about the lessons that you've learned from your past mistake, it may hurt you to relive that experience, but the lessons that you will take away from it will outweigh that temporary pain of going through the whole scenario again. For instance, if say you've experienced 2, 3, 4, 5 failed relationships, before you go into the next one, why don't you sit down and say, wait a minute, of all these past 4 relationship failures, I am the common denominator here. What is the lesson that I need to learn? Is it because I'm not patient enough? Is it because I am arrogant? Is it because I am not giving all of myself into my relationship? Whatever it is, examine the past mistakes, learn from them, and let those lessons now guide you into your next decision. Another way by which you can get rid of your past mistakes is forgive other people. Forgive other people. Forgive other people. The truth is, you've hurt some people. I've hurt some people. And so some people will hurt you. And the thing about hurt is that sometimes it becomes a blinder. It stops you from seeing the good in others. You probably have heard some, if you've had experience with, one of the challenges, for instance, that black people have is because maybe a black person somewhere has done something wrong or made a mistake or whatever. When people see black people, they generalize that they are like that. Now, you haven't done anything, but they've put that straight on you just because of. You may have been hurt by other people's mistakes, by other people's decision, by other people's error. And it is painful because you are paying You are suffering. You are going through something that has nothing to do with you whatsoever, and yet you are paying the price for it. It's painful. It is very painful. Don't get me wrong. You cannot change the way people treat you, or you cannot change the effect of other people's decision and how it affects you, but you can change how you relate to that hurt. And one of the best ways to relate to that hurt and take the sting out of it is for you to forgive the person. Forgive the person. Somebody said forgiveness is like you drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. It won't happen. The poison will go into your body, so it will have effect on you, not on them. When you forgive somebody, it is primarily for your own benefit. Then you can live a free life. Your mind is clear. You can walk freely. Forgiveness is accepting what has happened to you, but yet deciding to let go of the anger and the pain that it brought when it happened to you. Forgiveness is about you, not about the other person. So one of the ways you can learn to forgive is practice empathy and consider the other person's perspective and their motivation, the reason why they did what they did. Because in most cases, they didn't do it deliberately to hurt you. It wasn't meant to be to send you down the road of hurt and loss. It could have been something that is completely out of their own control as well. You are just in the vicinity. That's why you've got the mud all over you. But if you practice empathy, if you put yourself in the other person's shoe, if you think about the other person. I remember back in Nigeria, my cousin, the engineer Biodisu, said something to me. That was when I was just getting ready to come to the UK, and he said, look, you will meet some friends there, and sometimes you will need their help. If you ask them for help, especially when you know that they are in a position, they could be in a position to render that help. If you ask them and they say they can't, don't take it personal. It could be at that point in time, they don't have the resources. They don't have the means. They are not even disposed to render that help. Don't be judgmental. I think that's the word. Don't judge other people. Remember, forgiveness is a process. So for some people, they'll say, it's over, and that's it, it's over. For others, they'll have to walk it through. Whatever it is, do what you have to do. Another way you can break the hold of past mistakes from becoming a yoke and strangle life out of you is to redirect your thoughts. You see, dwelling on past mistakes is most of the time in our thinking. It's in our head. It's in the way we think. And what you can do is to recognize what is it that triggers this thing. And once you identify the trigger, direct your thought. Once that trigger starts to squeak and try to pull itself, change your mind to something else. Start thinking of something else. The memory of your past will always come back to you from time to time. But instead of you building a tabernacle for them, no, divert that energy, that thought, direct it to something else. And guess what? When you do that, that thought of errors and mistakes in the past, it will disappear. And when you do that over and over again, your mind will be accustomed to not think about it again. Plan out what you will say to yourself when that thought comes to your head. No, we're not going there today. No, I'm not thinking about that. Remember, I said you can't defeat your thought by thinking. You can only defeat it by saying. So when your mind starts to, no, just say, no, not today. We're not going to go there. We're not thinking about that. This is what we're going to do. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to focus on. And before you know it, that thought will disappear. Oh, boy. How are we doing? Gosh. All right, quickly. Another way by which you can break past, dwelling in past mistakes is to do some exercise. Engage yourself in physical exercise like running, walking, swimming, whatever it is. It burns off that flame of past mistakes that's about to kindle in your heart. Make plans for the future. Finally, if you constantly find yourself in a position where you beat yourself up because of your past mistakes, you can't let go of your past mistakes. You are always condemning yourself, talking ugly about yourself, and physically, verbally, emotionally, just berating yourself. Ask yourself these 5 questions. It will help you. Ask yourself these 5 questions. Number 1, will I say something so hateful to a person I love? This hateful thought and words that I'm using for myself, would I say that to another person that I passionately love and care for? Will I do that? Most of the time the answer is no. Then if you won't do it to others, why are you doing it to yourself? Another question you should ask yourself is, how will it make me feel if my boss or my mentor or my spouse is talking to me like this? Is saying to me the things I am saying to myself? How would that make me feel? Would I like that? Will I accept that? Will I accommodate that? If the answer is no, then don't do it to yourself. The third question you should ask yourself, when has stressing out about a past mistake ever make me feel better about myself? When? Give me an example of thinking how ugly, how stupid, how how whatever it is you use to qualify yourself. When in this whole your life, your existence in life, when has that make you feel better? When you talk down on yourself, has it ever make you feel better? The answer is no. Then don't do it. The fourth question you should ask yourself is, does it really make any sense to agonize and ponder and cry over a decision in the past that you cannot do anything about? You can't reverse it, you can't change it, you can't do anything about it. Does it make any sense for you to dwell and sleep on it and cry on it and wake up on it, eat it, drink it? And does it make any sense? The answer is no. Then don't do it to yourself. The fifth question you should ask yourself is, this mistake that is bugging me and keeping me awake at night, if this was done to me by somebody, will I be willing to forgive that person of this error, of this mistake? If the answer is yes, I'll probably forgive the person, then why not extend that same sense of forgiveness to yourself? Why not allow yourself to breathe rather than choke yourself over past mistake that you can't do anything about? Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a bit longer than usual, but I just want us to close this whole topic about this past mistake. I discovered so much when I was preparing for this program. I could do 3 programs without repeating anything that we've covered tonight, just on this dwelling on past mistakes. I hope and I pray that something that I said tonight has dropped in your heart and in your spirit, and is going to help you to become better. Remember, the whole essence of this platform is for you and I to become better in who we are and what we are and how we are. My hope and my prayer is that the way this program, this program tonight, the way it blessed and added value, great values to me when I was preparing and researching and studying for it. I hope I've been able to communicate that same hope and that same belief to you, that it can add values to your life as well. I hope so. Once again, thank you so much for your time tonight. It has been a great program. I've enjoyed it more than I did when I was preparing for it. I have said things that wasn't in my note. They just came out of me, probably because of all the studies and research I did on it. But whatever it is, I am happy that because of this program tonight, because of the things that we have covered in this program tonight, you and I are better than we were about an hour and a half ago because of what we have learned today. Remember, we have a goal that we're pursuing, that we're pushing towards. We have a land, a place, a designated location that is reserved for us. And so the whole essence of this program is to bring us to a point where by the time we arrive, we are ready to occupy, take charge, subdue, take control, be in charge, total dominance, because of the values that we have added to ourselves on this journey. I want to thank you so much for bearing with me yesterday, for being part of the program today. And please, if you have not shared this program, let me encourage you, click a button. Just share it with somebody. If you haven't done it before, do it as a birthday gift to me. It's my birthday tomorrow. Just do it to say happy birthday to me. Share it with somebody. It will bless somebody. I can assure you, it will bless somebody. I hope and I pray that you have the time and the courage to do that. Until next week when we meet again, this is Tunde Disu, once again saying, there's no stopping us now, because we have a purpose, we have a goal and a destination. And on that fateful day when we arrive there, even heaven, the whole of heaven will bear witness that we are better men and better women. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.